Hey everybody, this is Coach Markart with System Basketball. We have another edition of System Basketball Zoomcast today with Nick Medicis of Roam Free Academy in New York. How you doing today, Coach?
Good. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm great. Best we can do with the situation and what we're doing. Just excited to talk a little basketball with you today and the system, of course. So let's jump right in and can you let viewers know and myself know kind of your background of how you got into coaching?
Yeah. I grew up in Syracuse, played at Cicero North Syracuse, which is where Breonna Stewart played high school, and Patrick Corbin. So I grew up in Syracuse, went to Cortland, which is a state school, Division III, in upstate New York. And after college, my former coach, who was my JV coach, now the varsity coach, asked me if I wanted to be involved in his basketball program. So I volunteered on as an assistant coach at CNS, and that was actually when Pat Corbin was playing there. So I got to coach him, which was, looking back is pretty cool. But was there for 2 years. Was an avid travel softball player. So I'd go around the country and play softball tournaments. And I was playing in a tournament in Connecticut, dove for a ball and really messed up my knee. So I was stuck at home and decided, I wanted to see if there was any job opportunities out there. So I emailed every high school athletic director in the area, and one responded, and it was Roam Free Academy. I had an interview 2 days later, and I was named the coach basically within a week. So I got my first coaching job at 24 years old. No head coaching experience, but they took a chance on me, and I've been here now 13 years.
As the varsity head coach?
Varsity head coach, yeah.
So I went no paying dues, no nothing.
I went from
straight to big time.
Sitting on the bench as a volunteer to here's the reins, here you go.
Wow.
It was a program that has a lot of tradition, but was struggling. Mm-hmm. We had one win in the last, they were like 1 in 55 in their last 56 games. So expectations weren't really high. They kind of let me experiment a little bit. And, I've been really blessed to have an administration that have really let me experiment and make my own mistakes and kind of learn from them and learn as I go. And I've been there ever since. I love it here and plan on being here for a while.
Sounds good. So you've been coaching in New York. So obviously you got some probably mentors or people that you've over the course of your coaching career that you've looked up to that have helped form your philosophy. Can you tell us some of those guys?
Yeah. The first one is John Haas. He was my JV coach. And then he was the guy that, invited me to join his staff when I was right out of college and help out. And I learned so much from him. He played at Lemoyne under John Beeline when he was at Lemoyne Division II in Syracuse. So, he's been a huge influence on my coaching style, how I run practice, stuff like that. He's a mentor, a guy that we played every year. I went back home and played against his school every year, it was always special. So him, obviously, and then it's just guys that, I've watched and studied on TV. Obviously Paul Westhead with how they played at Loyola Marymount, and we have a lot of LMU elements in our stuff. Rick Pitino with his presses, and then your favorite Jim Boeheim playing our 2-3 zone. So I
was just giving you a hard time, Coach. I
that. I had to throw in some Syracuse in there.
Syracuse zone. I mean, the guy's unique. I've heard him speak many of times in Las Vegas, and even though I know what he's going to speak about, his 2-3 zone in transition, that's what his topic on every clinic.
Yes.
And I learned something different every time I hear him. And
He's
I
taken
love
somebody.
I love his philosophy when he tells everybody. So what do you do with your man-to-man defense if they start hitting threes? Do you switch the
Exactly.
zone or do you just adjust your man? And most people
Right.
say we just adjust our man. So
That's the funny thing, and I growing up, I was a season ticket holder, so I would be at games, and it's funny because he wasn't always strictly zone until they actually lost the exhibition game against Lemoyne, who was Division II, and he's like, you know what, at this point, I'm just going strictly zone, but you would be in the crowd, and then all of a sudden, somebody would hit a three, and they'd go, get out of the zone, get out of the zone, they made a shot, and it's like, come on, guys. Seriously, relax. He'll make adjustments.
so you run your own modified version of the system. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we're like a hybrid.
So when did you go to it? When did you start running it?
We went to it 2016, 17.
Okay.
And basically, we were coming off a year that we were 8-12, and I had a really good group of juniors that were coming through, but they were all 5'10" and under. I think we had one big kid that was, I mean, we had a roster of 14. We probably had 11 kids under 6 foot, maybe two legit big kids. And we just decided, we have two options here. We can go into a Princeton and just try to out execute everybody. And we have a shot clock, so it's not like we can four corners or hold the ball, but we have to really out execute people, because in the half court, we could run the best set in the world. But if we don't make that shot, we're not getting the rebound. In a half court set, everybody's bigger than us. So we said, you know what, we're going to try to turn it into a ping pong game. And we want to go up and down as fast as possible. So we watched as much LMU as possible, and we studied what they did and the fast break and just the little things, because we didn't think we could go to a Grinnell system. I had researched it for a while. I tried it for 2 games, and it was so bad, and that's one of the things I've learned is you can't be wavering. You're either all in and you're not. And I just couldn't go in at the time. So we watched a lot of LMU. We stole some of the concepts of what they're doing. And then we just literally tweaked things that worked for us that, might not be LMU stuff, but stuff that works for us. We've done that, and we've kind of made it into our own. Okay. So we're pressing, it's very similar. I'm learning more about the Wahlberg press, and it's just so similar, except we face guard everything. So we're trying for a 5 count, and we want you to throw it over our heads, similar to what LMU did when they face guarded in their press. So
you kind of like Jordan Fee, Nova Southeastern's press?
Yes, but we don't have a guy on the ball. So what we do is Coach Deacon from Arizona, almost identical. And that's where I came on the System podcast, was because I wanted to see what he was doing, because it sounded identical to what we were doing.
Yeah.
So we faced guard.
That was like my 3rd or 4th speaker. That was in April. Holy moly.
Yeah. That was the first one I came to, and I haven't left since.
I know. Yeah, we've formed a pretty good relationship through the clinics with a lot of us. There's probably, I don't know, what would you say? There's probably about a good core of us of about 15, 20 guys that pretty much have gotten to know each other fairly well through this. So
yeah, it's literally like a little basketball community where we can bounce ideas off each other and talk talk some hoops.
My favorite part about it. It's helped us get through this time, to be quite frank. I'd probably be pulling my hair out. And
yeah.
So how do you define system basketball? Everybody has their own version of it. I mean, some people will be like, you're 5 in, 5 out, have a formula. That's system basketball. Other people just think it's something. How do you define system basketball?
I think true Grinnell system basketball obviously is 5 in, 5 out, total, like all out everything. I don't think that's why I don't think we're a true quote unquote system team. We're kind of a hybrid because we don't go 5 in, 5 out, and we don't sell out on everything. And we have concepts that are kind of aligned to what the system is, where we're going all out in the front court, but we drop back into that Bayheim 2-3. But we get really aggressive in it. We have traps all over the place. We have calls for different traps and different times. So I think we're a little more aggressive than a typical Bayheim 2-3 zone. But yeah, we're similar concepts, but to be a true system team, I think it's the subbing that separates it, and it's the all out everywhere, trapping everything.
So you playing 9, 10, 11? How many guys you playing?
It depends. Probably our best year was that first year. I guess our best system year, we were 12 deep. We'd go 12, probably in the first quarter, we'd be 12 deep, especially because we were really undisciplined and we were so aggressive that we were constantly fouling, and we had to make some adjustments. But yeah, I'd say we were anywhere from 10 to 12 deep. And I mean, we averaged 89 points a game. We got up and down. We played really fast. Like I said, I started 4 guys that were probably 5'10" or under. So we just literally made it as fast as possible.
But you had a guy similar to mine that was about 6'5", right?
Yeah, probably 6'4", 6'5". He wasn't a big football player, but he could run. So we would steal a bucket or two because shot goes in and he takes off and he gets us a basket here or there. So.
Oh, he's a post?
What's that?
He was a post?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since you're not fully system, did you have to do anything special? Talk to your admin about your style change or anything to get buy-in, or did you just roll with it?
No, we rolled with it. I mean, it was a little different at first because we were trying to figure out what worked. We had gone from the previous year where we ran a 2-2-1, but it was kind of your traditional 2-2-1 back to a 2-3. We walked it up and we were a Euro ball screen motion, or, what we like to call not the Gonzaga ball screen offense. So we ran that. So, I mean, it's a pretty different culture change. So I didn't really have to sell it to anybody. I told my AD ahead of time, we're going to go to more of a chaotic system. We're going to get up and down, and we're going to try to score 100 every game. And you know what? If somebody beats us, they're going to walk out of the gym saying, you know what, that was a fun game. I'm going to remember playing them. I'm going to look forward to playing them again. So I kind of gave them a heads up, but no, I didn't have to sell it to the administration. I literally had my guys right before the summer started, and I said, I want you to think about playing a different style. And I said, I want you to think about having the opportunity to score 100 points every game, to have 10 or 12 guys play every game, to shoot the ball and not have just one guy taking 20 shots. It's going to be spread out. And they were all about it, and they bought in from the start. And I think that's where I lucked out, is my guys literally bought in from the start.
Yeah, for you people that haven't been on my clinics or anything, Nick threw in Gonzaga ball screen because that's one of my pet peeves. It's from Europe, guys. It's the European ball screen offense. Lithuania, Croatia, way back then, they are the ones who kind of invented it. Layson Perkins had a video. Todd K. I'm just going to say Todd K because I cannot pronounce that. Name. So, Coach, what are your system goals? Do you have any?
Actually, you know what? We're still kind of trying to figure things out. Our biggest goal is offensive rebounds. So we're really particular about getting 33% of offensive rebounds. We didn't have any real goals, to be honest. We were just kind of trying to play as fast as possible. We charted possessions, and we probably should have had goals. And this upcoming year, when we go back to it, we are 100% having goals. But yeah, we honestly did not have goals outside of 33% of misses, we have to have offensive rebounds.
So offensively, you kind of briefly explained, you kind of do LMU break, and then what do you, if you don't score in the first 7-10 seconds, what do you do?
We flow right into dribble drive. So we're looking to get that quick shot in LMU break, and if it breaks down, we literally go right into dribble drive. There's no call, there's no nothing. We're trying to attack. If it's not there in that fast break, we're going right into dribble drive and dribble drive concepts.
Okay. So new people come on. I mean, we get new people weekly. I mean, and people that are interested in the system. Myself, I've studied it. The joke is, when are you going to finally do it? You know, that's the joke now with everybody with me, since I've studied it since 2011. A lot of people go, they hear me on these and they go, what do you mean you don't run it? Like, you sound like you know it. Like, so what advice do you have for anyone that wants to run the system, learn the system? What would you advise?
Well, I'm kind of similar to you in that I've been studying it since right around the same time. I had actually emailed Roger Holmes when he was at Marina back, and I had shifts made up, and I tried it for 2 or 3 games, and it was such a disaster. So my advice is, you're either all in or you're not, and you can't do it halfway in, 1 foot in, and you have to be committed to it. So even when things don't go well, you have to commit to it, because it takes some time. I mean, could you imagine if Coach at Greenville, Coach Barber, if he just said, you know what, we're struggling at first, I'm not going to do it. He's had such great success after he got going. So I really think the best advice I could say is, you got to be committed to it and you got to be all in on it.
I agree. I keep my biggest hang up is, I think we've talked a bunch, is twofold, and I think I'll get over it, but is the subbing.
That was my that was my thing that I couldn't get over.
And number 2, the layups, giving up layups. I mean, I'm watching game film, and I'm doing all this stuff, and they're not as much as people think. It's not just uncontested layups all the time, but
right.
It's just watching the ping. I like your analogy. Make it ping pong back and forth. Yeah. So, or we can do a barber.
Yes.
So, you've been on a bunch of clinics, listen to podcasts. What are you going to take? I mean, are you gonna adapt? Are you putting in newer stuff? You taking anybody's stuff? I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of everybody that you might be incorporating. What are some takeaways that you're gonna take back to Rome?
Well, it's funny because, you know, me and you had talked before about all the different ways you can run the system, and you know, it's one time, you know, Matt does his stuff on the ball screen stuff. I'm like, man, I needed to run more ball screen stuff. His stuff is so good. And then you hear somebody else and they're like, wow, I really like that concept. But the one thing that I take away from everything is the organization of everybody that's in charge. The difference between a high school program and a college program is the organization. And just listening to Kurt Gelsdorf and all the great stuff that he does and how organized everything is. So I don't think I'm going to, you know, reinvent the wheel here. I think we've had success with what we're doing. Mm-hmm. I think it's just the little tweaks in the organization of how we do it, the verbiage of how everything is communicated, where, you know, we might say something is one thing and our JV coach is calling it something else. And there's that disconnect where, boom, everybody understands this is exactly whatever this call is. You know, if a kickback is a kickback as opposed to something else that a different coach is saying. So, and that's been my summer goal, is to get that drill book and terminology book so that everybody is on the same page. It's organized, and, you know, there's no gray area. Everything's defined.
Yeah. And then you did a clinic yourself. You did it for Lee, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So
I did it on our press.
yeah, and I think we're going to have you when taking a little bit of hiatus probably for August, let people watch some NBA hoops and let me have a little bit of a break too. But we'll probably have you on to share with the guys on the defense, because I know some people, defense seems to be, it's funny system and everybody thinks offense, and
Yes.
the most attended clinics I think I have are actually on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, that one I had with Ryan McCarthy on his matchup zone, we had 100. So, I mean, you have 100 on that, and then you'll have like 30 on a shooting person, and shooting's supposed to be the number one.
Right. That's the emphasis.
So that one,
shoot the ball.
that just blows my brains. It's like, because we'll get, I mean, it's basketball, and you hear all these questions on the Zoom clinics and everything like, will this work against the zone if I don't have shooters? And I'm like, well, nothing works if you don't.
Nothing will work. It doesn't matter.
So my biggest Vance Wahlberg ism being dribble drive guys is Vance gets asked this, well, what if I don't have penetrators and what if I don't have shooters? Vance's answer is, then you got a crappy team.
Yeah.
So you better find a way to get better ball handlers and shooting. Right. And in high school, it's debatable whether you can do this or not. I'm just going to leave it at that. You're not supposed to recruit players. So, so you got to deal with what's in your right. facility and adjust. And like you said, every other week I'm running mats. I'm running Doug Porter's Olivet. I'm running things. So for me, it's probably dribble drive-ish stuff that I'm comfortable with. But then instead of being Wahlberg-ish, it's probably more system-ish, system press. So that's my thing I'm taking with it, even though I'm going system with it. And the subbing I really want to do, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go more LMU-ish with it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think that's the hardest part is.
I don't think, Coach, I don't know what you think doing your research. There's very few high schools that I would say are pure system purists. I would say Zach is.
Yep.
I would say Chris Hahn at Delta, Stuart Drafts, Mike Gale, and then the high school guy that doesn't coach high school anymore, Roger Holmes' team was Grinnell as Grinnell can be. So those are, we all could say we run system, but not in the Grinnell system. Yeah. We'll double shift, we'll triple shift when it comes down to it. That's what I'm probably going to do it. I don't want to do it, but the winning aspect gets in your brain. So
absolutely.
So what's the outlook look like at Rome for you guys?
Well, we're in a little bit of a rebuild right now. We lost our all-time leading scorer, the school's all-time leading scorer. So he just graduated. I graduated 9 seniors.
Oh, geez.
So we had a team of 16. So we still return a bunch. But anytime you graduate 9 and most of them are all contributors, you have some rebuilding to do. So this past year we went a little slower. Like I said, we talked about being pure system and going 5 in and 5 out, and we got the best score in the school's history. We're not going 35, 45 second shifts. We're going to let him play as much as he can. So we went a little slower this past year. We'll get back to getting up and down and trying to score this year. So
I'd like to be that slow, Coach, and score 89 points. So
yeah, well, this past year we weren't 89 points this past year. We were I think like 74 or something like that. That's 73. So I mean, it's still
I would
up there.
Say that's probably still top 20% of teams.
Yeah.
In your state, probably.
Right, but I mean, the 3 years prior, we were 89, 85, 82. And then we had the huge drop. So it's considerably lower than we were, but it's still, I mean, we're still running. We just weren't going.
Me and you are both blessed with shot clock. Would you ever dream of running this stuff without a shot clock?
You know what? I coach AAU as well as high school.
Okay.
We have our own local team, and I can't stand it. It's
You can't stand on no shot clock?
no, I literally can't stand it because you get in these situations where there's 4 minutes left and it's a 2-point game, and now a team's going to hold the ball for 3 minutes, and
Have
we
you
have
had
no.
it? Have you
What's
had it?
that?
Have you had it your whole coaching career?
Yeah, we've had our shot clock the whole time.
We've
So
had it here in California since '89.
yeah, so it's foreign to me that people don't have it, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It would make it a lot harder in my eyes to run it, because if I'm going up against it, I'm either running with you, which I'm probably going to lose, or I'm going to slow it really, really down. And that's, it is what it is.
Yeah, we don't have to face that battle to an extent. I mean, they can hold it for 35 seconds, but
Yeah. And I don't like those teams.
no.
I think that's hard enough. That's bad enough.
The Princetons that backdoor you to death. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a team a couple years ago that would hold it. I mean, they were a struggling team. They were bottom of our league, and they held it for 30 seconds, literally held it for 30 seconds as we chased them. They'd shoot the shot, and all five would put their head down and run to the other end and get in the zone. I was like,
What are the criticisms that you hear in your program, or parents or admin, or anything about your style? Anything?
Yeah, that we don't coach. We just let them play. We hear that. If we're not losing, there's no structure to the if we're not shooting well, there's no structure to the offense. We just let them go. If we give up a couple of layups, it's funny. We talked about Boeheim with the zone. If we give up a couple of layups, you hear some random person, get out of the press. It's not working. Well, we'll know in the fourth quarter if it's working or not, because we're kind of comfortable playing from behind early on. We play for the fourth quarter. So,
either does sitting in a zone when we're 5'8" and we have to get a rebound. So
exactly. So, just the little things that probably everybody hears. The good thing is that we do play a lot of kids. We play 10 to 12 kids on a given night. There are some kids, like I said, we have a roster of 16, so there are some kids that don't play, but it's explained to them early on, like, this is your role. We have contracts when we do our tryouts, and the last guys, I tell them flat out, and it's on the contract, you're in that 13 to 16, you have 0 guaranteed minutes. If you can't accept this role, someone else wants to be part of it. So we're pretty honest and transparent early on. It's worked. We haven't had any guys quit.
Is that a player and parent contract?
Just player. I could probably send it home, but I don't know.
Just curious.
Yeah.
I've done something similar. It's worked. It's backfired. So
yeah.
So I mean, it don't matter how much they read it and sign it. They still get disappointed. So I'm dealing with that halfway through the season. So that's my experience. So NBA. Let's go NBA. So what are you thinking of the bubble? Have you watched any scrimmages or anything yet?
I've watched a couple scrimmages, not the whole game, but just turn it on for a little while. I'm happy to see that the bubble, as of right now, nobody's tested positive. So it's at least served its purpose. What I want to see is, are the players going to take the last couple regular season games serious, or is it going to kind of be like for the teams that are already locked in? Are they going to take it serious? And how much different it's going to be when it gets to playoffs and you get into those series, because I think that's going to be interesting. I know me and you we kind of disagree on the TBT. I think it's great. I loved it. I think everybody plays it like it's a game 7. So while the skill might not be there of an NBA player, the way they play and
I think some of the things are interesting. I think the to the point thing is interesting. I forget the rules.
the Elam
What I think
ending,
the rule is called.
Elam ending.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm really interested to see. We were talking about this earlier. If the Bucks don't make a run this year, does Giannis opt out because he's not getting to the? I'm interested to see all the stories unfold. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's just nice to have the NBA back.
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to turn on the TV and see some NBA.
So you've pretty much watched the same players in history that I have. Who is your 5 that you're going to put up against somebody if you had your armchair NBA point guard discussions and said,
Right.
these are my 5, you take your 5 and I'm gonna beat you. Who are your?
I'm an offensive guy, so I'm going to take LeBron at the 1. I'm going to put Curry and Jordan on the wings. I'm going to go Durant and play a little it's not really small ball considering he's 7 foot, but he's not a true 4. And then I'm going Shaq in the middle. And I'm going to spread you out, and I'm going to have some fun with that group.
My 5, I think you probably heard them. Probably the 5 guys that have probably at their positions when people put people at positions. Me and you have discussed that everybody believes that LeBron James is a small forward and he'll go into the Hall of Fame as a small forward, but
he's a point guard.
He's a point guard. But my 5 would be, and I didn't look at it as a shooting aspect. So you got some really great shooters, but I think my group's going to maybe neutralize some of those guys and not even allow them to shoot the basketball, or create some real nightmare matchups because we're huge. At point guard, I have Magic Johnson. At shooting guard, I have Michael Jordan. At small forward, I have LeBron James. At power forward, I have Larry Bird. And at center, I have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Nice.
So I think, like I said, I don't think anyone's won more MVPs at their positions than those guys. Arguably, you could say, I think LeBron and Bird are tied for MVPs at the small forward position.
Right.
So I don't really have a technical power forward. I mean, I have Magic Johnson and LeBron James on that team that can play all 5 positions.
Yeah, you're in the same. You basically got 4 guard, wings, points, whatever you want to call it.
My shooting isn't as good, but I got Larry and Michael that can score, and LeBron and Magic will just get it to 3 of the best scorers ever.
Yeah, can't argue with that. Listen, I'm in the same boat. I put LeBron out there with the best shooter, Curry, the best player, Jordan, and the best mismatch, Kevin Durant. You're going to guard him with a little guy, he's going to go over you. You guard him with a big, he's going to go by you. He's going to step out and then Shaq, the most dominant big guy. So it'd be a fun game.
Oh yeah. Kareem's skill versus Shaq's strength.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks Kareem would just get bulldozed by guys, but
I don't think he would.
My GOAT conversation always is this, and people want to argue with me, and Michael Jordan's always been realmed as the GOAT, but I think only 3 guys are in the GOAT conversation. And it's Jordan, Kareem, and LeBron.
Yeah.
And if you want to count overall career if you go high school, college, NBA, without a doubt, the best player ever is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
I'm
still a Jordan guy. Jordan's still number 1. Yeah, it's hard to argue that.
It's hard, but to just discount the guy because he wasn't a media guy, didn't sell shoes,
right?
And won as many MVPs as Michael. Didn't sell shoes though.
Yep.
So, I mean, Michael went 6-0. So that's undebatable. Who do you got winning the NBA?
You know what? I think it's going to be really interesting to see injury wise what happens, because I think one injury could change and completely change what happens. I think it's just,
Injury or come down with.
yeah, yeah. Or, there's people that are, my, this one's wife is going to have a kid. They're leaving. Are they coming back later on? There's a lot of unknowns. So I really think it's too early. I'd love to see Giannis win it. I really would. I'd like to see somebody else. I don't want to see the Lakers win. I'm sorry. I don't want to see LeBron win. I'd like to see somebody new, but when it comes down to it, he's the best player in the world right now, and you got to put him as a favorite, especially with him and Anthony Davis. I think they're number one right now going in, but like I said, I'd like to see somebody new. I'd like to see Giannis win it.
I think it's either the Lakers or the Clippers. Whoever wins this, if they both get to the Western Conference Finals, whoever wins that is probably going. They probably have too much.
Yeah.
Giannis is Giannis, but I don't think
it's not a big game yet.
I don't think Middleton's going to help them win it. So, that's the debate. Where does he say, "I got to go pull what everybody calls a LeBron or a Durant or whatever?" But they all forget that the big ticket did it.
Yeah. Very true. He started it.
So, I mean, so what's the landscape out there in New York? This past week we heard in California what we're doing. What is there any news? Any news yet for you guys?
So right now we have two scenarios. We're starting fall sports September 21st.
Wow. Okay.
So right now, that's the plan for right now. And that would be a shortened fall season with you have the rest of your regular season, which would basically be league games and a sectional tournament. And then that would be it. And then it would be a full winter season and spring season. I think that's highly unlikely. That's like best case scenario at this point. Option 2 is a 3-season split of 8 to 10 weeks for each one. So basketball would start January 4th. It would go to March 13th with I believe it's just league games, and then goes into your sectional tournament. And then our football season, our fall sports would start March 1st, which I'm in upstate New York. It snows till mid-April some years, so I think that's going to be really interesting. That fall season goes from March to May, and then there's a 1-month overlap with the spring season that starts in April and goes to June. So we're sitting back waiting to hear because there's too much of that second one. I think is going to happen, but there's way too many questions that need to be answered before we know what's going on. But for us in basketball, we're either having our normal season or we're having a 8 to 10 week mini season where we're playing league games and doing our sectional tournament.
Are you starting off distant learning, or?
We don't know yet. We have until July 31st to come up with a plan. And then Mr. Governor Cuomo, which I won't get into any thoughts on him because I don't want to say anything, but the king will tell us what we do. So we have to.
Referring to LeBron, right?
I'm not referring to LeBron, yeah. So the districts will submit their plans, and then he either approves them or denies them, which I don't understand how he can. I don't know. That's here nor there. But what I'm hearing is K to 6 is going to be in school, and then 7 to 12 could be virtual, could be a couple days in school. Who knows?
Sounds like that's purely financial for daycare. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
With the
So who knows?
politically correct right there. So
everything could change in a week, and who knows?
oh yeah, everything's changed drastically. So with it, how did you communicate with your boys? How did you try to do things? Did you do Zooms? What did you do anything special? Did you do anything unique?
So we did a weekly Zoom from I believe the first week that everything happened.
Mm-hmm.
That first week right away we did weekly Zooms on Tuesday nights, and we would talk and just talk to the guys about how they're doing and stuff. We showed different games. We had different speakers come in. Try to do as much just to connect with them and see how they were doing, check in. But by June, they were so over everything with, online learning and online this. And now I got the basketball coach doing that. So we stopped doing it. We gave him a little bit of a break. We did do I can't even remember what it was now. It feels like so long ago. We did something. There was it was called the Stages program, where they signed up and they had to do different skills. There was like a curriculum. And in order for them to pass and go to the next stage, they had to record themselves doing a skill. They had to submit it to the website, and then the coaches look on and either approve it or tell them to go back and do it again with feedback, which was pretty cool for a while. We did it for a month. It was a 30-month trial. We had some people that were really good. They got really involved. They got, one kid almost got like 70 videos in.
Wow.
And by the end of the month, it was kind of dying. They were so done with doing everything online. We just gave them a break. So I've checked in a little bit, but right now I'm kind of waiting to hear what's going to happen before I get in touch with everybody and find out what's going on. But
yeah, for people that didn't hear what's going on here in California, is we got news Monday that they split us into 2 seasons of sports. So they moved some sports around. So we're not having a traditional fall, winter, spring. They moved sports to winter and spring. And basketball became a March sport here in California. So I'm going to get T-shirts made that says March Madness. So I get to experience playing in March for the first time.
There you go.
So that's my joke for the day. So I don't know we're sitting here almost August. They start school distance learning here August. What is it? I think 6th.
Wow.
So starting here like in a week, basically.
We're not until after Labor Day.
So, and my season's March. So I'm like, and we're being told right now that we probably won't be able to work out or do anything basketball related until we attend physical school. So that might not be till second semester, January.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out, when do I start up doing Zoom calls, and seen other coaches that do the Zoom workouts where the coach is like this and they're watching the kids ball. I didn't do any of that stuff.
I didn't do that either.
And started watching Grinnell film, Greenville film, stuff like that, so they would see and have an idea of what we're doing. So I don't know what to do. It might be about back to old school, where you have your first practice date, like 10, 15 days before your first scrimmage. And that's what I get. Cause football starts January 12th. But the unique thing here is, and I don't think I've heard any other school proposals of this, is they didn't cut our season.
Really?
So we are playing we're allowed to play our full slated games. What they did decrease a little bit was normally our calendar was 81 days. Now we got 72 days. So they cut it by like 9 days. So we're still allowed to play our 28 games in the amount of time. Plus we're doing playoffs. I saw yesterday, I believe it was, that Nevada came out with their proposal or what they're going to be doing. They're doing 3 seasons of sports, but they're only giving them 6 weeks, and there will be no state playoffs.
Wow.
So that's what, and they're the next state over. And usually, I had a guy on the call that I did Monday night about it to discuss it. He thought they would follow the California model because they kind of follow everything that, like, whatever comes down the line from us, they kind of just, in his opinion, follow. The biggest thing, though, is, I don't know if you heard this, is that's during AAU viewing period time. So they made the ruling that kids are allowed to play all their sports, but also play on their AAU concurrently.
Wow. That's
so
interesting.
So you have, I mean, your EYBL kids and your elite kids will have to make some tough decisions. Everybody's going to have to make some tough decisions and figure it out amongst themselves. Where normally the CIF rules out here where you can't play travel during your season of sport. And basically high school travels would go dark from November to February. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, volleyball is being played right smack in theirs too. But it's interesting is I haven't had a Thanksgiving real vacation or a Christmas vacation in 21 years. So the football coach that's practicing during Christmas break, and because it was always an honor to practice on like Thanksgiving for football, because that means you were playing for probably playing, you were, I think, in the semifinals or finals out here for the playoffs. So normally we start mid-November.
That's when you start, or that's when games
That's when our first game would start.
Okay. So when do you normally
the last few years it was the week before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And then we would go until the first week of February for regular season, and then playoffs usually started. I should know this because the last few years I've learned to hate Valentine's Day, because that's the night that our season ended. So for the last 2 or 3 seasons in a row.
Wow.
So Valentine's Day hasn't been very, very nice.
Very nice to you. Yeah,
Plus some of the games were like an hour and a half away. So wife was like, you better win. You're it's Valentine's Day. You're going to play a playoff game and it's far. So that's been the schedule. So it's just very interesting times, and then just to see how everything's going to turn around, and then you're back to a normal. So if you go all the way here in California, the last game that you play is like June 18th or 19th.
Into June?
June, man.
Oh my goodness.
So school's already out. But I can't knock it. I can't be upset about it. Said this on another thing is we're a high school organization, CIF out here, and they've come up with a plan.
Right.
There's other, without saying the acronyms or the letters, there's other bigger organizations out there that are above high school that don't even have a plan.
Very true.
So we have to accommodate what they did. I mean, we're probably either the biggest or second biggest high school organization out here. We have, in my section, we have 500 and something teams alone.
Wow.
And they're in our state, they separated into 8 sections. We have, in our section, we have 12 section champions.
Wow.
So 12 or 13.
Wow.
13. I mean, how many do you guys have?
We have Well, let's see. Our classes, we have 5. We have double A is the biggest. That's where we are.
And how many high schools
Um,
would you say in your whole state? Or would you know?
I wouldn't even know. We have 11 sections. So we have 11 sections. Our classes are double A, B, C, and D is the smallest.
Okay.
So I know we have about 1,100 kids, and we're probably dead in the probably lower end of the highest classification, double A. So we're probably.
Yeah, we usually have an open division, which is
Mhm.
which is the elite. We call it politically correct. Not politically correct. They call it the shoe contract teams that are sponsored in high school. That are usually the top teams. Your Modern Days, your Sierra
Like
Canyon.
Sierra Canyon, those guys.
Those guys are in the open, and we usually have 6 divisions, 1 down to 6, but then there's usually 2 in each one of those. So you got like 1 double A, 1 single A.
Oh
2
wow,
AA. Yeah, so that's where we come up with the 13.
wow, that's a lot.
And usually within each section, like mine, I was in 3A, so right smack in the middle, but there was, I think, 81 teams in the section, and they do a 32 team tournament.
Oh wow.
And then you go from section to regional to state. So then you merge down here in the southern section. You have four people that qualify for the sectional, and that our section goes and plays somebody from the northern.
Okay.
So for you got to win. I think it's 10 games to win a state championship.
Jeez, it's a lot.
So
Wow.
you're playing close to 40 basketball games if you play the whole shebang.
I think well, we get 20 regular season games, and I believe a team out of Syracuse won it a couple years ago. I think they played 27. So 6 or 7 games to win it. Based on our sectionals are a little different. It's anybody that's over 40% winning percentage, either in your league overall or class, qualify for sectionals. So in our section, we normally have, for double A's, we're anywhere from 10 to 12 teams qualify. So nowhere near the number that you guys have.
So does Outlook look good or bad that you'll actually play?
I don't know. I'm optimistic. That's just the way I am. I'm constantly expecting to play. My assistants are the opposite. I have my head assistant. He is already making plans for stuff in the winter because he thinks there's no chance we play. I think we play. I honestly think that we have a better chance of playing than the college guys because, number one, budget's already in. And it's been approved for the year. So, and the travel is not very far. If we're just playing our league games, our farthest trip is 30 minutes. That's nothing. It's not like a team from California has to get and get to Oregon for a game. We're right up the road. So I think that in that sense, I honestly think we're going to have a season.
Yeah. I think that there'll be some modifications out here if people were originally signed up to go out of state for tournaments and stuff. I don't know if they'll allow it. So it'll be interesting. I think here that most districts are going to start with distant, and I would be willing to bet that we will see students on campus at second semester or after an election.
Yes, there's a chance that could happen.
So those are some of the things that are going on out here. But I just want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for time that you spent and relationship we formed. I think we'll continue it without Zoom, whatever. We'll be checking in with each other. And I think it has become a community, like you said. So think we found a group of guys that will probably be checking in with each other, probably going, hey, Mark, can you do a Zoom call to see how the season's going with guys? And
Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to most is now that, I've met you and a lot of guys from the West Coast and all over the place, especially if we all get on Synergy and are able to watch each other's games and, kind of connect during the season. I mean, for us in the season, for you preseason, because you're not till the spring, but just be able to talk to each other and see what's going on and check in on their teams and I think that's exciting. I think it's going to be fun.
I'm hoping I get to do one of my 2 trips. I'm doing one or 2 things. I think if they're playing normal, I think I'm going out to Iowa.
Nice.
To go see Grinnell, or go up to Portland and hang out with Matt and the Pacific guys.
There you go. Learn the ball screen up there. There you go.
The ball screen with his back screen actions. Coach, if anybody wants to reach out to you, how would they do that?
I'm on Facebook. You can see Nick Medicis. You can email me, coachmedicis@gmail.com. You can talk to Mark. He has my number. You can call me, text me. I could care less. I'm around. I have no plans all summer. I should be in the gym, and I have no idea what to do with myself because I'm not in the gym. So I'm happy to talk basketball anytime, just to get through this time.
And go Bills, right?
That's right. Go Bills. Excited. Finally, we're not talking about the Patriots. They're finally giving some respect to the Bills.
Because number 12's gone.
Exactly.
You got some hope.
Yes, exactly.
He's not in your conference.
I'm glad he's gone.
He's not in your conference?
Oh, I'm so glad. See you later. Have fun.
Look at him. He's all smiling.
I'm excited. Football's coming up soon. Got something to look forward to. Can't have fans there, but I was gonna make the trip out to Buffalo, watch some games, but yeah.
All righty, man. We'll probably see you next week. Thanks again for coming on. That was Coach with Rome Free Academy, Coach Medicis, and my daughter in the background hanging out here. So we'll talk soon, Coach. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Have a great rest of your weekend, man. Thank you.
You too.